Hi everyone, this is Maflor. Today we will be discussing lesson number 5. Before we start, let's have a game. So, ang title ng game natin is Bawal Judgmental. So, ano bang gagawin natin sa game na to? So, I want you to look closely at each picture and choose the right sentence. So, ibig sabihin, I'm gonna show you some pictures and you're gonna choose kung ano yung tamang sentence para sa picture na ito. Now, let's start. I want you to get a piece of paper or on your notebook and write numbers 1 to 5 and choose the letter only of your answer. Number 1, if the boy doesn't find his favorite toy, then A, he will get angry, B, he will start crying. Number 2, if it doesn't rain, then A, she will go on a picnic, B, she will go swimming at the pool. Number 3, if she is going to the market, then A, she will buy fish, B, she will buy fruits. Number 4, she won't get wet if A, she takes an umbrella, B, she puts on a raincoat. Number 5, if I go to a restaurant, then A, I will order something spicy, B, I will order something sweet. Now, let us check your work. Tingnan natin kung sino yung makakakuha ng perfect score. So, check your work. Number 1, if the boy doesn't find his favorite toy, then A, he will get angry or he will start crying. So, let us see. Ayun, the answer is he will start crying. For number 2, if it doesn't rain, then she will go on a picnic or she will go swimming at the pool. So, check natin ang sagot. The answer is letter B. She will go swimming at the pool. If she is going to the market, then A, she will buy fish, B, she will buy fruits. So, ano kayang sagot? The answer is letter A. She will buy fish. For number 4, she won't get wet if A, she takes an umbrella or she puts on a raincoat. So, let us check ano nga ba yung sagot. So, yun nga, letter A, she takes an umbrella. And for our last number 5, if you go to a restaurant, then A, I will order something spicy or I will order something sweet. So, check natin ano yung sagot. So, ayun nga. Ang sagot is letter B. I will order something sweet. So, sa activity ito na bawal judgmental, sinong nakakuha ng 5? Sino naman ang nakakuha ng 4? Sino naman ang nakakuha ng 3? How about 2? 1 kaya? Yung 0, walang nakuhang tamang sagot. Sino yung hindi nakakuha ng tamang sagot sa inyo? Okay, so yan. So, based dito sa activity natin ito, so anong part ng activity nahirapan kayo? So, what part of the activity do you find difficult? Why? So, saan bang part kayo nahirapan sa activity na to at bakit hindi ninyo nakuha yung mga tamang sagot? How do you find the activity? Nadalian ba kayong magsagot? O medyo nahirapan kayo? So, kung ang sagot ninyo ay medyo nahirapan kayo, naintindihan ko kayo kasi, ma'am, nahirapan ako kasi yung pinakita mong picture ay part lang ng picture and we cannot see the whole picture itself. Kaya, we cannot really tell or we cannot really determine ano ba yung appropriate sentence doon sa picture na ito. From this activity, pwede nating i-relate ito in real-life situation, just like dito sa picture na ito. Makikita mo na may babaeng nagbabasa na nakasalamin at may dalawang babae naman sa other side na mukhang siya yung pinag-uusapan. Sa tingin ninyo, sino kaya yung pinag-uusapan nila? At ano kaya yung pinag-uusapan nila? Nangyari ba sa inyo ito? Well, people are often judged based upon their appearance without knowing her personally. However, if you're gonna give time to know this person personally or maglalaan ka lang ng oras para kilalanin siya, you will be surprised na to find that the person is very different to how they imagine. So, akala mo napakasungit. Yun pala, napakabait niya. Kaya sabi nga sa quote na ito, don't judge a book by its cover. Para sa mga madalas mag-Facebook, i-check nyong mabuti kung yung mga nakapost na binabasa ninyo at ganun din yung mga picture na nakikita ninyo ay totoo, baka naman ito ay fake news. Ganun din po yung mga online scam na kung saan ay hinihingi yung ating mga personal information, account name, account number, at pati yung ating password. Mag-iingat po tayo kasi baka mamaya gagamitin nila yung mga information natin para makapanloko ng iba. So mag-iingat po tayo. Dapat po ninyong tandaan, no, kapag tayo ay may nababasa sa social media or sa online man, kailangan i-verify natin, kailangan ay i-validate natin kung totoo nga ba yung mga nababasa natin. Ito yung mga sentences na ginamit natin doon sa activity kanina. What do you notice about the sentence structure? So, if the boy doesn't find his favorite toy, then he will start crying. If it doesn't rain, then she will go swimming at the pool. If she is going to the market, then she will buy fish. If I go to a restaurant, then I will order something sweet. And lastly, she won't get wet if she takes an umbrella. So ano ba yung mga napansin ninyo sa mga sentences natin? Kung ang sagot ninyo ay, ma'am, may word na if at then. So tama kayo. So, ano ba ang tawag sa mga sentence na ito? So, sa English or sa grammar, ang tawag dito ay conditional sentence. Ano nga ba pag sinabi natin conditional sentence? So, these are sentences that tells us what actually happens, what could happen, what we wish would happen, and what might have happened. In English, conditional sentences are statements discussing condition and its consequences. So, ito yung result natin. So, for example, if the boy doesn't find his favorite toy, that would be yung condition. And then, yung consequence niya will be, then he will start crying. Conditional sentence have two parts. So, these are conditional clause or the if clause at consequence clause or the then clause. So, dito sa sentence na to, ano nga ba yung conditional clause natin dito? So, ang conditional clause natin would be if the boy doesn't find his favorite toy. At yung consequence clause ay, then he will start crying. When we say conditional, kung sa English meron tayong tinatawag na conditional sentence, meron din tayo sa math. So, ang tawag natin dito ay conditional statements. So, ito yung pag-aaralan natin today for week number 5, conditional statements. For our learning objectives, I want you to read along with me. Number 1, I can determine the relationship between the hypothesis and the conclusion of an if-then statement or conditional statement. Number 2, I can transform statement into an equivalent if-then statement. Ano nga bang ibig sabihin ng conditional statement? So, wala naman ito pagkakaiba gaya sa English grammar na conditional sentence. Yun nga lang, may mga terms or may mga terminology tayo na iba yung tawag sa conditional statements. Conditional statement is also called an if-then statement. It has two parts, namely hypothesis and conclusion. So, we represent hypothesis by a small letter P at yung conclusion naman by a small letter Q. Saan ba natin makikita sa sentence yung hypothesis? So, the clause that follows the word if, yun yung ating hypothesis. So, after ng word na if, yun. So, that would be our hypothesis. And yung conclusion naman natin, the clause that follows the word then, that would be our conclusion. So, after ng word na then, ayun. So, that would be our conclusion. In symbols, we represent this as small letter P for hypothesis, followed by an arrow pointing to the right, and then conclusion that represents small letter Q. So, we read this as if P then Q, or P implies Q. In other words, when we say conditional statements, these are statements discussing hypothesis, which is the condition, and its conclusion, the result. The hypothesis can be true or false, and this would lead to a conclusion that may also be true or false. Ang ibig sabihin lang nito na ang ating hypothesis pwedeng maging true o di kaya naman ay false. So, ganun din yung magiging resulta sa ating conclusion. So, pwede rin siyang maging true o kaya naman ay false. For example, if a certain condition is true, then a particular result happens. So, in this picture, we can write an if-then statement or conditional statement na if it rains, then I will get wet. Para mas lalo niyong maintindihan, let's have an example. Example number 1, in the conditional statement, identify the hypothesis and the conclusion. So we have here the conditional statement. If you will study your lesson, then surely you will pass. Ano nga ba yung ating hypothesis sa statement na ito? So take note, when we say hypothesis, it is a clause. So ito yung clause after ng word na if. So after ng word na if, and followed by a comma, that would be our hypothesis. So saan nga ba? Ayun. So this would be our hypothesis. How about naman yung ating conclusion? Yung conclusion naman natin ay after ng word na then and followed by a period. So dito, so yung ating conclusion would be, ayun. So this would be our conclusion. So isulat na natin yung sagot natin. So our answer would be, the hypothesis is, you will study your lesson. And your conclusion would be, surely you will pass. So ito yung sagot natin for example number 1. Example number 2, identify the hypothesis and the conclusion. Change the statement to an if-then or conditional statements. So we have here a statement na guitar players are musicians. What do you notice dun sa ating sentence? May nakikita ba kayong if at then na word? So, di ba wala? So, ma'am, paano ba natin malalaman kung ano yung hypothesis at yung conclusion kapag wala tayong if at then na word? Paano nga ba? So, here are the steps. If a conditional statement is not written in the if-then form, first step, i-identify natin kung ano yung hypothesis at yung kanyang conclusion. So, yung statement natin ay guitar players are musicians. So, turuan ko kayo kung paano natin madaling makikita kung ano yung hypothesis at conclusion. So, tandaan nyo lang ito. So, when we say hypothesis, hahanapin nyo lang kung ano yung subject ng statement natin. So, ano nga ba yung subject natin dito? So, guitar players are musicians. So, the subject is guitar players. So, this would be our hypothesis. To find naman yung ating conclusion, we simply have to find yung predicate. Take note, when we say predicate, it tells something about dun sa subject. So take note ha, isasama nyo yung ating verb. So ano nga ba yung conclusion natin sa statement na ito? So ayun, are musicians. So this would be our conclusion. So yan lang yung technique natin para madali nyong malaman kung ano yung hypothesis at yung conclusion. Hypothesis, hanapin lang ang subject. Pag sinabing conclusion, hanapin yung predicate, including yung kanyang verb. Step number 2, rewrite in the if-then form and add words to complete the thought of the statement. So dahil na-identify na natin kung ano yung hypothesis at yung kanyang conclusion, isulat na natin na naka-if-then form. So isulat natin, ang hypothesis natin ay guitar players. So guitar players. So mag-add lang tayo ng word para maging complete yung thought ng ating hypothesis. So if, so guitar player, so we can add you are. If you are a guitar player. And then, yung ating conclusion naman, so ang conclusion natin ay are musicians. So mag-add lang tayo ng mga words para maging complete yung thought ng ating conclusion. So we can add you are. So then, you are a musician. So therefore, yung if-then statement natin would be, if you are a guitar player, then you are a musician. So, ang ating hypothesis, you are a guitar player, at yung ating conclusion ay, you are a musician. Let's have another example. So, I want you to underline the hypothesis and box the conclusion of the following statements. If possible, change statements into if-then form. Example number 1, if a polygon has 4 sides, then it is a quadrilateral. To find yung hypothesis, take note, these are words after ng word na if and ended by a comma. So, that would be our hypothesis. So, dito ang hypothesis natin ay a polygon has 4 sides. Take note, hindi kasama yung word na if. Now, to find naman yung ating conclusion, these are words after ng word na then and ended by a period. So, dito, ang conclusion natin ay, it is a quadrilateral. So, take note, hindi kasama yung word na then. Example number 2, if an angle measures 90 degrees, then it is a right angle. So, to find naman yung hypothesis, after ng word na if ended by a comma. So an angle measures 90 degrees, this would be our hypothesis. And sa conclusion naman natin, after ng word na then and ended by a period. So, dito, conclusion natin, it is a right angle. Example number 3, an angle is acute if it measures less than 90 degrees. Ngayon, mapapansin ninyo, yung word na if natin ay wala doon sa unahan ng sentence natin. So, pwedeng mangyari yon. So, as long as after ng word na if, that would be our hypothesis. So, dito, sa statement na to, ang hypothesis natin ay it measures less than 90 degrees. Now, to find yung conclusion natin dito, makikita ninyo na wala tayong word na then. Ma'am, pwede ba yon? Yes, pwede yon. So, pwedeng may then or pwede rin namang wala as long as complete yung thought ng ating sentence. Now, kung ano yung mga natira, that would be our conclusion. So, ang conclusion natin would be an angle is acute. So, yan yung ating conclusion. Example number 4, cigarette smoking is dangerous to your health. So, dito makikita ninyo na yung ating sentence o yung ating statement ay hindi naka-if-then form. So, paano ba natin gagawin na ito ay maging conditional statement or if-then form? So, una, you're gonna find ano nga ba yung kanyang hypothesis at conclusion. So, tinuruan ko kayo ng clue kung paano mahanap natin yung ating hypothesis. Yung hypothesis natin, yung subject. So, dito ang subject natin is cigarette smoking. So, ito yung hypothesis natin. Now, to find naman yung ating conclusion, ito naman yung predicate. Yung pag sinabi natin predicate, it tells something about to sa subject. So, including yung ating verb dito. So, yung verb natin dito ay yung is. So, ang conclusion natin would be is dangerous to your health. Next step na gagawin natin, dahil nakuha na nating hypothesis at conclusion, i-rewrite natin yung ating sentence in if-then form. And then, we're gonna add some words to complete yung thought ng ating hypothesis at ng ating conclusion. Dito, so, yung if-then statement natin would be, if you smoke cigarette, then your health is in danger. So, makikita ninyo dito, andun yung hypothesis natin, conclusion, nag-add lang tayo ng mga words para maging complete yung hypothesis natin. So, dito, ang hypothesis natin ay, you smoke cigarettes, and yung ating conclusion naman ay, your health is in danger. Example number 5, good students obey school rules and regulations. So, hanapin lang natin yung hypothesis natin, yung subject natin. So, dito, ang hypothesis natin ay good student. At yung ating conclusion naman, yung predicate, including yung verb. So, yung tira. So, this would be our conclusion, obey school rules and regulation. Now, yung next step natin is we're gonna rewrite this statement or this sentence into if-then form. So, dito, kunin mo lang yung hypothesis at conclusion. And then, mag-add ka lang ng words para maging kumpleto yung thought ng ating sentence. So, our if-then statement would be, if the students are good, then they obey school rules and regulation. Makikita ninyo na nag-add ako ng words para may sense yung ating sentence. So, dito ang hypothesis natin, the students are good. At yung conclusion naman, they obey school rules and regulation. It's your turn to practice. I need you to get a piece of paper or on your notebooks and numbers it 1 to 5. And you have to find your hypothesis and conclusion of the following statements. Underline the hypothesis and box the conclusion. So, if possible, you have to rewrite the sentence into an if-then form. So, you may pause this video and afterwards, we will reveal the answer. Now, let's start. Is it possible to live a life without condition? Why? Pwede ba tayong mabuhay sa mundo ng walang kondisyon? Pwede ba yon? Is there such a thing in our life that has no condition? Meron ba sa buhay natin na walang kondisyon? Kung ang sagot nyo is yes, meron, meron. So ano nga ba ito? This is what we call unconditional love. Ito yung pagmamahal na walang kondisyon. Kaya nga unconditional love. Diba pag nagmamahal tayo, meron ba tayong condition na I love you if? Mamahalin kita if? Magugustuhan kita if? So, wala naman tayong siniset na rules or condition para magmahal sa isang tao, di ba? So, kasi kapag tayo ay nag-set ng condition sa ating love or sa pagmamahal ng sa isang tao, ibig sabihin may rules ka, may restriction ka, kumbaga meron kang dapat na panuntunan sa pagpipigay mo ng love, 'di ba? Parang hindi naman love at all 'yon, no? It feels like na parang kailangan i-earn mo para mahalin ka ng isang tao. Parang hindi naman gano'n ang nangyayari kapag nagmamahal tayo. Kaya nga meron tinatawag na love is blind. Ibig sabihin, kahit ano pa yung itsura ng tao, ano yung katayuan niya sa buhay, pag-uugali niya, maging maganda man or hindi, but still minamahal natin yung tao as a whole. Kasi wala naman tayong guidelines na sinusunod kapag tayo nagmamahal. Tama ba? Isa sa masasabi ko na talagang unconditional love ay ang pagmamahal ng mga magulang sa kanilang mga anak. Ito talaga yung masasabi nating love without condition. So, despite sa mga ginagawa ninyo sa inyong mga magulang, tulad ng pagdadapog, sinasagot si nanay, hindi sinusunod ang utos ni nanay, at laging nakakagawa ng kasalanan kay nanay. Despite of everything, still ang mga nanay natin or ang mga magulang natin, nahandyan lagi sa ating tabi, handang gumabay kahit alam nating napapagod na sila. Hindi nila tayo sinusukuan. Tama ba? Mararamdaman ninyo na sa ups and downs ng inyong buhay, nahandyan lagi ang inyong mga magulang sa inyong tabi, di ba? Hindi nila kayo sinusukuan hanggat hindi nyo nakakamit ang inyong tagumpay. Kasi walang ibang hangad ang inyong magulang kundi ang mapabuti ang kanilang mga anak. Ma'am, ibig po bang sabihin na kapag wala tayong kondisyon, lahat ng pwede nating isipin ay pwede na nating gawin? Does freedom means that you are free to do what you want? Why or why not? Hindi ibig sabihin na meron tayong freedom or kalayaan sa Pilipinas ay pwede na nating gawin ang gusto nating gawin. So, meron tayong tinatawag na rules, meron tayong law, at meron tayong regulation na dapat sundin. Una ay ang pagsusuot natin ng face mask. So, di ba ito yung mahigpit na ipinatutupad sa ating bansa na kapag tayo ay lalabas ng ating bahay or ng ating tahanan, ay magsusuot tayo ng face mask. Tapos, yung iba ay naglalagay pa ng face shield. So, tandaan, yung pag-wear ng face mask ay hindi lamang proteksyon sa iyong sarili, kundi proteksyon din ito sa mga taong nakapaligid sa iyo. Pangalawa, cyberbullying. So, ito yung mga pagpo-post ng picture o kaya pagpo-post ng mga salita na kung saan ay nakakasakit na pala tayo sa damdamin ng iba. So, be mindful, especially yung mga pinopost nating picture o yung mga sinasabi natin sa social media. Akala natin okay lang dun sa tao. Yun pala, may pinagdadaanan pala siya sa buhay. So, yun pala, may magulang pala siyang nagkasakit, namatayan pala siya ng magulang, nawalan pala sila ng trabaho. So, be mindful, especially sa mga pinipitawan nating salita. Pangatlo, scam, online scam, or fake news. So, diba, I'm sure na aware kayo sa mga bagay na ito. So, kapag tayo ay may nababasa sa social media, i-check muna natin, i-verify muna natin kung ito ba ay true o baka naman ito ay fake news. So, bago tayo mag-share ng mga posts sa FB, or sa social media, i-validate natin or i-verify natin kung totoo nga ba ito. Kasi baka mamaya yung sinishare nating information ay mali na pala. O di kaya naman ay nakukopya na yung mga personal na detalye sa atin. So, kinokopya na pala yung personal details natin na kung saan ginagamit ito para makapanloko ng ibang tao. So, be aware. So, maging vigilant tayo, especially sa mga nababasa natin sa social media. So, mag-verify kung totoo nga ba yung mga nababasa natin bago tayo mag-share. Pang-apat, so ito yung tinatawag nating quarantine, 'di ba? Tayo kapag tayo ay galing sa ibang bansa, SOP or Standard Operating Procedure na tayo ay swab test and then magku-quarantine ng ilang araw. So kapag tayo ay inalaw naman ng government na makabalik dito sa Pilipinas at kailangan nating mag-quarantine, so kailangan ay sumunod tayo sa batas, no? Kasi para ito ay proteksyon para sa iyo at ganun din sa mga taong nakapaligid sa iyo. Let me leave you this quote. Every choice has a consequence. For every choice that you make, there is a consequence that you must face. Always remember that you are free to do what you want, but you are never be free from the consequences of your actions. So always choose to do good. Huwag kang mapapagod gumawa ng mabuti. For your closure activity, you're gonna make inferences based from the given pictures. And after that, you're gonna write your answer in the comment section below. Let's have an example. I want you to create an if-then statement out of the given pictures below. So, dito sa left side, makikita mo yung 3 a.m. Sa right side naman ay yung 3 p.m. So, ako muna yung magsasagot dito. So, if, then. So, if you stay up late, then you will feel sleepy the next day. So, take note ha, your answer may vary. So, depende yung magiging sagot nyo. Basta you have to create your own if-then statement based doon sa pictures na nakita ninyo. Now, you may pause this video to answer the closure activities. And don't forget to write your answer on the chat box. Now, let's start! Thank you for watching. Stay safe, everyone.